Welcome to the Sassy CEO Podcast. I'm Paula Bailey, your host, and in this episode, I'm talking all about outsourcing and delegating. This episode is perfect for you if you're a busy business owner that feels like you just never don't have a to-do list and it just keeps getting longer and longer. I feel like I've spoken to business owners that don't have team and business owners that do have team, and they still feel like they have this whole thing going where they've just got way too much on their plate. So this episode is specifically for you because we're going to be talking about things that really help you make decisions in terms of outsourcing and delegating for long-term growth, for where you really want to be. I'm going to talk about 4 things that you need to think about right now for implementing into your business for that long-term sustained growth, and how to basically get out of your way if you're feeling stuck when it comes to asking for help and starting to grow the business without you doing everything. Now, don't forget, if you are looking to grow the business, you want to look at setting better targets, you want to look at how your revenue can grow. I've got the Sassy CEO Revenue Roadmap over on our page at sassyceo.com.au/gift. Go download that. It's a free gift from me, and start working out some cool revenue goals for the next 12 months. But for now, let's get started talking all about Sassy CEO, delegating, and outsourcing. Okay, so let's talk delegating and outsourcing. It's, I think, a topic that is always really hot on the minds of the female entrepreneur. As women, we tend to be multitasking and juggling. It's kind of almost like a way of life. And I know in a lot of the circles, that I'm in, Facebook groups, communities, conversations that I have over the career or the span of my business, it's been something that comes up quite regularly, and it's a really important conversation. I think whether you're outsourcing and delegating for the first time, or whether you have some team already, the concepts and some of the things that I want to talk to you about today are really important when it comes to growing your business and removing some of the blocks that keep you stuck and keep you where you are and quite frustrated and overwhelmed and exhausted, which is a symptom of really what's going on a deeper level. So let's talk about all of those things today. Now, the first thing I'm going to say, which probably isn't going to make me very popular or, might trigger some people, and that's okay. But in my opinion, if you are not getting help with stuff, if you are still doing all the things in your business, like you literally wear all the hats. And I know that, for many of us, we can still wear a lot of hats, we can still be doing a lot of things. But if you are literally doing everything and every part of what happens in business, literally, like if we did an org chart for your business and it was just all you and only you, this is not a business. I'm going to say it again, it's not a business, it's basically a job. And I will take a pretty educated guess that it's a pretty crappy job as well. Because if you're having to do all the things, I would imagine it's very overwhelming, very difficult to grow, and quite exhausting. And you might be starting to question why you even thought to want to go into business, let alone feeling like a sassy CEO. So, it's a really important conversation. And I can even speak to women who've got, their 3 or 4 team members and still they're struggling with this one, or they're struggling with letting things go. And in a way, they still are also chained to the business in some way and not really changing up their mindset of how they're seeing their business, how they're perceiving it, and the wealth and the opportunity to create wealth that a business has for all of us. And that's ultimately my main goal here. I'm on a mission to create conscious and wealthy leaders who run profitable businesses that impact the world and their respective the communities within the world. In order for us to be conscious and wealthy, we have to start seeing things very, very different. So, this is why I'm doing podcasts like this and episodes like this, so we can actually have deeper conversations, not just about, how do I find a VA, or how do I get that staff member to do this or team member to do that, a deeper conversation. But let's just take a look at why, as women, we find it so hard to do this. I think when I look at some of my male friends and my male counterparts, they just, and obviously this is a massive generalization, they seem to find it so much easier to delegate, to find, to let things go, to hand it over to team, whereas women really do overthink it, take way longer to let things go, and just generally tend to hold on to things. And we need to look at this on a deeper level, a deeper identity level. It's not that there's just something wrong with you. It's looking at who you are and what beliefs are, I guess, making up your identity at the moment. So on an identity level, something commonly going around that I hear when I'm speaking to prospects or clients who are really struggling and finding that they're overwhelmed with workload and finding that they're at a place where it's really difficult to begin to even think about scaling or growing when you're already feeling like you're literally, under the pump, and you wouldn't even be able to, handle any more clients. How do you actually allow more clients to come if you're already really struggling? So for a lot of us on an identity level, there's this whole belief around, it's just easier if I do it myself. I am so overwhelmed and so under the pump. If I just add that little thing to my to-do list, I'll get around to it and it'll just be easier, because then I don't have to forge a new thought process or think about something else in a different way. Think about how I could teach someone else to do that, or just, spend 5 minutes writing down a description or recording a Loom video to show someone else how to do that so that I never have to do that again. And I think it is a form of control. We often talk about the control queen at Sassy CEO headquarters, because I think there's, we need to honor that side of ourselves. There's a lot of us have been called control freaks in the past. I really hate that term because it's so derogatory. There's a lot about that persona within your personality. If you are that way inclined, the control queen, she's also helped you get to where you are. You've probably had a level of standard, a level of quality that you wanted for your clients and for your business and for how you brand yourself, or how you put yourself out there, which is all very admirable things. But when it starts to get to a point where it's actually now starting to slow your growth down, or worse still, make you go backwards, that's when we need to keep our control queens in check and really ask ourselves some deeper questions of why are we getting stuck on letting things go, and what is the belief that's forming there. And I think there is a belief or a feeling that if we have control, if we're controlling how things are done, if we're not relying on someone else, then it's just easier. I don't have to sit at night worrying, did that thing get done? That's sort of like a trust thing. And we are so used to just getting on with doing it ourselves. I think as women, we're innately brought up and taught to kind of multitask, juggle. We're brought up to be, whether you are or you're intending to be a mother, or even if you're not intending to be a mother, on some level in society there's this identity of the woman. She can juggle more. She can have, you see all those memes, she can have all these Chrome like internet tabs open in her brain, and she can just manage all of that. And so we just sort of go along with that, and we just keep putting more and more and more on our plates because it's so much in our head. The story is, it's just easier if I do it myself. But there is also something even more deeper, which is our inability to receive. And when we are struggling to receive, you think about this like as a radio station. If we can't receive on an energetic level, it's also blocking your ability to receive, whether it's great input or advice into your business. Maybe it's receiving great leads and great prospects into your business. Big one, receiving money or the income that you are heading for in your mind, the goals that you're setting yourselves. When we are struggling to receive, it doesn't just happen in one degree of your life. There's mirrors all around. If you're struggling to receive in one area, you have to ask yourself, well, where else am I struggling to receive in my life? And so for us as women, that's struggling to receive help, to accept and let someone help us, and not have to do everything ourselves, is a really big one. So these beliefs, it's easier if I do it myself, I don't really like asking people for help, all that ties into an identity of I need to do it all myself. So if that's something that really resonates with you, maybe that's something you see in your life. You're the carer, you're the nurturer, you're the one that takes care of everyone. You're taking care of everyone in your family. You're solving the problems. There's dramas going on in your family. You're the one that, always irons that out. If there's extra things to be done in your family unit, you're the one who solves the problem, as well as juggling everything that you've got going on in your own work and business. And it always seems like you come last. It's like you're just always putting yourself down the end of the list. And it's like you're not important enough to invest so that you actually have some space, not to necessarily fill it with more work, but to fill it with things that are actually nurturing you and nourishing you. Because ultimately, like I always say, you are the most important product in this business. And if you are not taking care of you, we have a problem. So we need to be really, I think, clear and getting down to the bottom of that. Maybe you need to do some journaling or some, deep dive questions on, like, why do I do this? Why do I find this so hard? Where else in my life am I finding it difficult to ask for help? Maybe I struggle to ask my partner for help. Maybe I struggle to, voice what I want, within my family unit. Maybe I'm just always that person that just goes along because it's easier to just go along, or you got brought up to just not say much. There's that whole one, like, good girls don't say much. They're seen but not heard. I know it sounds really archaic, but you'd be surprised how these beliefs and these paradigms that have been around for so long have a sneaky way of creeping up on us, and we don't even realize that they're playing out in our lives. But if you are currently finding yourself in a reality where I'm not really loving that, and I'm just always, never ending to do, and it just feels overwhelming, and I'm exhausted, and I just don't even know how I could possibly grow this because I'm just so tired all the time. This is something you really need to be looking at, because it all just comes from the beliefs and then what you're projecting out into your world. So, your identity level is one of the biggest factors that I want to talk about in terms of delegating and outsourcing. It's so funny, for years we'd always talk about, here's how you find a VA, here's how, and not just a VA, or here's how you find the perfect next hire in your business. Maybe it's the team player. We can map out all the org charts when we're doing strategic planning, or we're talking to a business owner about what resources they need to invest in next in their business. But ultimately, if at an identity level that business owner is not catching up to the growth that they're aspiring to, it just tends to start to either self-sabotage, things go wrong, it all starts to collapse, because that ultimately is your foundation. So it starts here because it's 80% of the work. I want you to ask yourself, from an identity level, when you think about growing your business, having the support around you, whether that's minor things or massive things like, major team players coming on board, what does that actually mean to you? Who would you be if you actually had that sort of support? If you find it difficult to ask that question initially, you might need to just peel it back a layer and start with, well, what are the things that I no longer need to be doing, or that I should not be doing? And when I'm not doing those things, who would I be when I've got space to do other things? What other things would I be doing? What would my day and my life be like when I'm not doing all the things in my business? What would I have space for? And then in turn, who would I be being? Being is this, the important part here. We all think that when I get here and I have this thing, I'm going to be able to be this person. But that's the wrong way around. We need to think about, who do we need to be in order to have? Be, do, have, right? So think about it from an identity level. You're forging a new identity. You're growing your business. You need to also turn into someone different in order for you to keep growing this business beyond, say, who you were 5 years ago. So they're really important questions. So I feel that is literally, like, what I've just spoken to you about is 80% of your work. It's really getting clear on what you're believing, where you're roadblocked, how you're turning up even today in your own business. All those things are so important. But I also obviously want to talk to you about some key things to take into consideration, or take action on, to help you move past being the everything in your business. And believe me, I have spoken to women who have no one on their team, to women that have got 5 people, 10 people on their team, and they still feel like they are running this whole reality that they do anything, so that they do everything in their business. I don't think this conversation is only for one end of the spectrum or the other. I think it's actually, again, it's an identity thing. It's what you buy into, and it doesn't matter, if that's a program you've got running. It doesn't matter whether you've got no one or you've got 10 people working with you, you will at some level keep manifesting it. But once you've sort of started to sort that out, let's look at some other things that can help you move along to start letting go and receiving support and actually stepping into that woman that you want to be, who actually makes impact on the world. And in order for you to do that, you're going to need support. So 4 things to help you start to outsource and delegate in a Sassy CEO way, in an aligned way that actually energetically helps grow your business. So start again, like you've done this in the identity exercise that I just spoke about, but I want you to actually start about thinking about, what do you actually need to get off your plate? And, there's a couple of categories that you could look at when you're really thinking about this, and that's the things that financially don't make sense anymore. So they're the things that if you actually had to pay someone else to do them, they would be less than what you are actually worth to the business. And this is a big one, because so many of you are actually undervaluing how much your time is worth. So at a very basic level, if you even just think, I want my business to pay me X amount of money per annum, what does that work out to be per month, or and then per week? And then how many hours a week do you actually be wanting to work into this business? When you actually work that out, you can start to have a little bit of an understanding. That's just a very rudimentary way of working out, a basic hourly rate of what you should be charging, out your time into the business. So once you've actually worked that out, so let's just say, for example, it came out to be $1,000 an hour, and you've got things that you're doing day in, day out that you could literally have someone else do for 10, 20, 30, even $50 an hour. It makes sense for you to start going, I need someone else to start taking that over. I mean, I have had some crazy conversations with women that are still doing things like they're still trying to work out and do all the research on their SEO, or they're still, trying to do all the research on how to put all the hashtags in themselves. And they could actually be paying someone else who's actually a specialist in that, how to do, to do that for them for way less than what their actual hourly rate is technically into the business. So, if things are no longer making financial sense, and I'm going to just say the caveat here on that one is, don't let your mind do the whole, but I don't know where the money would be. I don't have the cash flow for that, so I'm not going to do this exercise yet until I have the money. We're going back to the whole be, do, have thing, right? Because when you do that, you're doing the I need to have in order to be something. It's the wrong way round. You need to be looking at it from the angle of, who do we need to be being in order to have that? And so don't get caught up in that just yet. I just want you to start looking at all the things that you've got that financially really don't make sense for you to be spending time doing it during the week. Once you've got that list, then think about the things that someone else could be doing way better than you. Those are just 2 categories, and we could categorize those down even further, but there's just 2 categories for things that you could start to delegate off. And when I say things that someone could be doing way better than you, it could be something like, maybe you're just really not that great at setting up automations in your email system, so you're better off actually finding a specialist who you can pay an hourly rate to just go and sort out all your email nurture sequences. Or maybe you're not that great at loading blogs into your website, and you can just go find someone who will just load the blog in every week, and that way it actually gets done, and your life and your business and your marketing can keep rolling. Be careful with this one. The caveat on this one is, so many times when I say this one, I have business owners say, oh, well, I am just naturally going to outsource all my marketing because I think I suck at that, and I'm going to outsource all my sales. I want someone else to do it. And those are really the hubs of your business. I don't think they're the last things you want to be getting rid of. So if you're finding yourself buying into a story that I'm not good at marketing or I'm not good at sales, you need to sort of look at those beliefs and maybe rewire those ones, because it's a very important, it's the lifeblood of your business. And so, if you think you're not good at it, well, get better at it and start to change your identity around that, because they are the things that generate new income, new revenue into your business. And we want to keep that life force flowing through your business, and you want to be comfortable and across what is happening in sales and marketing of your business. So once you've sort of worked this out, like I said, I want you to also be really clear that you're not buying into stories that it's now too hard and it's easier. Yeah, I've got that list, I'll get to it eventually. Don't buy into your story that it's easier if you do it yourself. What is one simple thing where you are right now? And this is even for you ladies that have got people playing on your team right now. If there's stuff still happening on your schedule that you should not be doing, start taking steps towards solving the problems. And we do this by asking better questions. If you aren't sure, it's like, well, how do I find the perfect person? Or how do I, no longer need to, publish this or do that, or whatever it is for you? Ask yourself a better question so that you can start to solve the problem. And it might just be taking one little action, like for some of my clients, just sometimes changing up, an accountant, or changing up, someone now finally doing their books, just doing something really little that doesn't feel too scary. It might feel a little bit uncomfortable and it's like, oh, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be able to cover that or whatever it is. Just trust in that little step and start moving towards being that woman that you're describing in your identity piece. Okay, so it's going back to identity, guys. Everything really goes back to identity. You should be connecting with that. And that's really step number 3, is connecting in with the identity. So many prospects and clients, they want to come, they want to do, they want to do the mindset clear. They want to heal past trauma. They want to reprogram their brains, and they do an NLP session, or they might go in booking with a healer, or they do the kinesiologist, whatever you're doing to do the work, which is awesome. But ultimately, you wouldn't expect to have a bang and bod if you went to the gym once and then only went once every 6 months. It is a consistent effort, and it's the same with your mind. You've got specific programs and wires. This is the way you've been programmed to think, and it's going to take time and real consistency of consistency to really change that. It doesn't have to be hard. It might be looking at a document that describes your identity on some level every single day, looking at the goals that you have, looking at who you are turning into, and just connecting with that identity piece on a daily level. I have an identity document that I literally have. It's very visual because I'm a very visual person, and it's almost like my vision board, my vision board on steroids. Like it's visual. It brings all the images to life. It has story attached to it, and I'm reading that every day and affirming the woman that I'm becoming. And so this is it's like my mind gym. I'm going every day to my mind gym, and I'm working out my beliefs, my identity, the way that I think, who am I going to be, so that I can consistently turn up as her. And you start to see the shifts and the changes in your world, and solutions come, opportunities present themselves. The answers to things that you were stuck with before just start to present themselves, because you are literally changing yourself from the inside out. So connecting with this identity piece is so, so important. Okay. Finally, the last step in this is I really want you to connect in with your why. I talk about your why all the time, but it is literally your guiding light. In Sassy CEO land, we have our purposes and our missions that all get developed when we're doing strategic planning. But your why, the thing that is driving the growth of this business, that goes beyond just you being financially well off, it's really important. And when you're really clear on why the business exists, what is the thing that you are wanting to achieve, what is the reason, the impact that you want to make, the legacy, what you find is you also start to attract the people and the help that not only have the skills, and they'll rock your world in terms of being able to make a change to your own workload and getting things done in an epic or a sassy way, but they also are people that are aligned with what you're doing. But it starts with you as a leader getting really clear on that and putting that out there, and again, as part of your identity, affirming that every single day. Our mission as a business, that we transform women into conscious and wealthy leaders who run profitable businesses that positively impact the world and the community, is literally in every one of my identity pieces. It sits within my vision board. It sits within my identity document. It's in my email signature. I talk about it all the time because it's the thing that I'm focusing on all the time. It's what I use to guide my decisions. It's how I decide who comes on next, do they align with that? Do they feel like they're fitting into that? When I'm making a decision on a new team member, and magic happens. Like, I have had the most amazing things happen when it comes to looking for people. My own amazing social media manager came, I felt like divinely, through me being very clear on my why. I literally manifested her just by being clear on that. And I could almost tell, I knew I was going on a trip, and I knew, I bet you I'm going to find someone to help me when I'm on this trip. But in my mind, I was really clear on the type of person I wanted and what I was looking for. That doesn't just happen. That happens by you actually having time to think about what are the things that you shouldn't be doing anymore, getting clear on what you're actually looking for, and then making sure that you're connecting with a why, so that you're bringing forward the solutions that are actually in alignment with who you are as a woman and the type of business that you are creating, and also the impact that you want to make on the world. Big stuff, and it goes way beyond just some download on 100 tasks to hand over to a VA. This is a much juicier, bigger conversation, and there's just so much in this. So your homework from this podcast is to really start thinking about, who are you being right now that's stopping you? Like, what things are you doing? What are you buying into? What beliefs are you buying into that stop you from having the support? Maybe it's like, I know what it's like. Maybe it's that I have to do it all myself, or I don't know any other way, so I'm just going to keep going with this. Whatever it is for you, start getting it out and start rewriting the story of who you are, who is the woman that is running the type of business that you want. And then once you've done that identity piece, that, like I said, that is 80% of the work, as long as you're looking at it every day. Then, actually starting to identify from that viewpoint the types of things that you want help with, the things that you need to start getting off your plate, because it is no longer financially viable for you to be doing those things. Epic stuff, guys. I hope you take action on this, because you will literally, in a year's time, when you're doing this stuff, you will not be able to recognize your business. It will literally transform if you are actually prepared to change from the inside out. So I'm so grateful that you've been here and you've been in this conversation with me. Please, if you are enjoying this conversation and you'd like to keep going with this conversation, we have our free Facebook group over, obviously, on Facebook, the Sassy CEO Society. All the links for that will be in the show notes. So please come and join us to have a better conversation about your business, and let us help you also, rewrite your programs, but also have the strategies to go with those programs to actually attract the types of clients you want and grow the business in the way that you want to grow the business. Super excited to help you do that. So come over and join us in the Sassy CEO Society. Thank you so much for being a part of this episode. I can't wait to catch you on the next episode. Until then, I'll catch you soon. Bye.